I want to start off right away by just jumping in to talk to you a little bit about how you came into this industry. What was your first initial step into the beauty industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So my very first step into the beauty industry, I was 13. My very first job, I was working in a deli part-time. I was a cashier, counting back change before the registers actually told you how much to give back, which was a whole lesson in itself. But when I was working in the deli, I actually met a woman who was an educator for Matrix. She would come in regularly and we would talk. She would share a little bit more about her profession and how she was in education, how she was a hairdresser, and she just completely piqued my interest. Through that, we built a relationship and I went and I spent some time and I started working with her. I was her assistant. She had a beautiful little salon right out of her house. And it was just a unique opportunity at a very young age to get an insider look. And she would share with me the trips that she would go on. She would share with me the type of education she was doing, the classes she was doing. So it's just a unique opportunity that kind of opened the world of the beauty industry.
There is a whole new way to rise in the beauty industry. LEAD, Rolf's Global Institute, powered by L'Oreal Professional Products Division, is the world's first college degree program for beauty professionals. LEAD is higher education designed to expand your opportunities and open doors to greater success. Create a future with more financial freedom, more autonomy, more possibilities, and more impact. LEAD also provides scholarship opportunities to eligible students worldwide. It's more than a degree, it's a movement. This is where the future of beauty is headed. Be part of it. For more information, please visit leadinstitute.degree.
What was different about her that kind of like, as far as from your other clients that you saw in or the other customers that you had in the deli, like what was it that stood out about her? Because I'm sure that that's a big part of what drew you kind of into this. Like what interested you in her?
Yeah, she was cool. She came in and she had fun red highlights running through her hair, and she was trendy. She was cool. She always stood out. She was super personable. And we built a relationship from there.
So how old were you when you started in her salon?
14.
Okay. So you were young.
Young.
How exciting was it to like hear the women that would come in, like the conversations? Like, were you a part of the conversations that would be happening? Were you like eavesdropping? Like, what did that look like?
Fully in and part of every single conversation. She had a beautiful little salon, but it was out of her house. So it would be, the three of us with her clients coming in and even just remember the learning curve that I got to go through. And the very first time that I shampooed someone and they sat up and I wet their entire back. And I think back to those experiences and just being able to learn from them and have an amazing teacher that, she was. I mean, her heart was in education. She was passionate about education. So it was more than just a job. She used the opportunity to coach me, develop me, teach me, train me, and just pass on all of her knowledge.
I think a lot of times when we have people that are exposed to the beauty industry, it can sometimes be negative, or they might even have like a parent that has done it, but maybe, didn't go in all the way. It seems like you really found a person that was like a leader and somebody who really valued education, which is, I think, sometimes like something that people have to learn in this industry is like the importance of continued education and why, like you had that right away, which is not normal. Like that's kind of a different experience. So did you do that all through high school then? You probably had like the best hair, like the best, like having that access to that is a dream.
Totally the time. I don't know if you'd say best. At that time, I would say the best. It was when ginger spice was super popular. So I had the 3 highlights where you'd pull the hair up and you couldn't see them, but they're big, chunky highlights. And I went through lots of different hair evolutions and phases. But no, it was an amazing opportunity to be able to work with her.
Yeah. And then so you get finished with high school. So what happened post high school? Was your family on board for you kind of coming to the industry, or were you pushed into a different direction? What did that look like when it came time for post high school?
So I actually went to cosmetology school in high school.
Okay.
So I fell in love with the industry at that point. Did half-day programs. So I went to BOCES out on Long Island.
Yeah.
I came from a family where I was a single mom. And being able to go to college was something that was definitely an aspiration and a dream. But in order to get there, I knew I was going to have to pay my way.
Yeah.
And that was something that was important to me. So I finished high school, Went, did my state board test, became licensed as a hairdresser, and I actually moved into New York City. I was 17. I'll always remember at the time, 17, moved into the city by myself. Went to FIT for advertising and marketing, and I used the salon, the tips, the payment, everything that I got to pay my way through school. So it was always this dual world that I was able to live in.
Did you work in a salon in New York when you moved here, or were you just kind of doing this like on the side? Where did you go after that?
Yeah, so I was working in a salon.
Okay.
So I moved in, I turned 18, got a job as an assistant in a salon on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was
that's incredible.
Super unique experience.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And so when you went to the Fashion Institute, what was your experience like there? Was everybody kind of interested? Like, were you selling yourself to everybody as far as like, come see me, let me do your hair?
Completely sold myself to everybody. Yeah. I had a full clientele just from the dorm itself. And Friday nights, Saturday nights were so much fun because I would literally just have clients. Everybody would rotate in and I would do hair. Yeah. I would do haircuts. I would do styles. I actually used all of my friends at the time. I was building my portfolio and I would just have them come in for free haircuts, free highlights, one, to be able to practice, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And two, I would just take pictures and use all of them to build a portfolio for myself.
That's so amazing. Like, I really feel like your journey is so original, first of all. Like, I think it's so cool that this is the path that you took. But I think that you just had these steps along the way that were really important. I think now, I mean, obviously it's Instagram now. It was building portfolios back then with the photos and everything. But I think that like, that's something that is so awesome that you even had that experience or that knowledge to say like, I'm going to use what is here. And I'm going to use what's around me to actually like to grow what you're doing. So you traveled for a little bit after that.
I did.
So you kind of lived a little bit everywhere. So talk to me a little bit about that. What that journey
absolutely. Absolutely. So, transitioned, and while I was going to college for advertising and marketing, I wanted to do a study abroad. So what was just amazing was I had the opportunity to do a study abroad in Florence, Italy. And again, it was an opportunity where I showed up with my comb and my scissors, and I was able to build a side clientele when I was living in Europe. I fell in love, obviously, it's Italy. I fell in love with being in Italy, and I actually took the next semester off. And I stayed in Europe, and I was really able to do that and make extra money, make money on the side from being a hairdresser. And just having tools that I could travel with me and be able to have a trade that you didn't necessarily need that language, language to be able to bring to life. Yeah,
that's so awesome. So then what brought you into this position that you are in now? How did that happen?
Yeah, so I came back into the U.S. after my transition and time abroad, and I was graduating. So in order to graduate, I needed to do an internship. And, if I'm going to be honest, at the time, I loved everything about being a hairdresser. I had great clientele. I was making great money. I loved what I was doing. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to finish my college degree, and I'm going to just have that as, something under my belt that I did for myself. And I'm going to go and work full time behind the chair. I had to do an internship in order to graduate. And I actually interned on Matrix DMI. So Matrix DMI, it's the global wing of Matrix. I'll always remember I showed up to the first day of my interview, and I was, getting ready for a corporate environment. So I thought, of course, corporate, let me put in my 26-inch extensions. So I had my super long hair and my fabulous lashes, and I just showed up into this corporate space. And I actually interviewed for a marketing role at the time. And I remember when I was having the conversation, they were asking, I see that you're a hairdresser. Why are you interested in marketing? Why not a role in education? Yeah. And to be honest, at the time, I had no idea. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So she actually put me into contact with the head of education at that time to do an interview. And it just opened up a complete new world that I had no idea even existed. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And so it's crazy because like you said, like the person that kind of brought you into this was so education focused, and now that's what you're doing. And that's the career path that you've taken. So I think that that's so special. I think that connection is so important. And I think that that's one of the messages that we always, try to send is take those opportunities. You never know who you're going to meet and come across, and like sharing the knowledge is so important. I think a lot of students now don't always value their superior, or not superiors, but their they're seniors, you know, and there's just so much information that can like lead this step to this step. I think that that's so important. I think it's awesome that you had that. So what does a day look like for you? Kind of let's talk about your role here now and what your job is day to day at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I think what I love about my role right now is the duality, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm able to kind of put on that right brain, left brain, be creative, but also be business minded at the same time. Mm-hmm. Tap into my knowledge and, you know, my career as a hairdresser and really understand what works for hairdressers. What are need gaps? Everything from a product standpoint, product portfolio, new products that we're launching, to coming up with classes, content, curriculum. You know, being able to create a bridge and marry those two worlds between, okay, this is the product or this is the lineup that we're launching. Here's how it's performing. Here's a need gap that we perhaps, you know, see in the market. Mm-hmm. And then what's that bridge, right? How do we get it in the hands of stylists? How do we speak to them in you know, professional language that they'll understand how to maximize these tools to really create a path for their own success? Mm-hmm. You know, with a little bit about my role, you know, having the opportunity to work on content development, you know, work with different team members across marketing, across our e-commerce business, across our Sephora business. You know, I think education just has the opportunity to expand beyond boundaries that, you know, are truly endless. And, you know, within this role, you get to touch so many different people, touch so many different lives, which is super rewarding.
Do you think that had you not gone to beauty school, had you not had that background, like, do you think that this is something that you would have been able to kind of work your way up to? I mean, you have a very high role in the company. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you would have been able to get here without that? Or do you think like that's a big part of it?
Yeah, I actually look back at my career and I think the biggest milestone that I had was becoming a hairdresser and being able to have that skill set and, you know, be able to do your state board and at the time doing your roller sets and going through those learning and going through that experience. Yeah. That was really the big milestone that created the career path that I was able to find for myself.
Yeah. And I think you probably give a really important input to when you all are creating curriculum. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that you just kind of like going back to like, this is how we learn. This is what the classroom is going to be like. Yeah. This is what stylist needs. I mean, I'm sure that there are people that without a beauty school background can go in and say, okay, I'm going to talk to stylists. I'm going to whatever, but you just already, you know, have that. And I'm sure stylists appreciate that. I think, I think it's such like a proud role. And I think like it's as a stylist, like you want to be heard. And sometimes I think if there's a separation, it doesn't feel as genuine, but I think you coming in and being like, no, I did this, like I worked in this, like I'm sure it's valued even more. And what you're able to bring to the company is even bigger because of that. So I think that that's so awesome. What advice would you give to somebody that's coming into the industry? What advice would you give to young stylists with you having such a focus on education? I know for me, that's always my, you know, biggest piece of advice is to always, you know, keep learning and keep growing. Is that kind of the sentiment that you share as well?
Absolutely. I think, you know, I would say be fearless. Take every opportunity that you can. You know, you shared a good point before about, you know, who is it that you can find as mentors, right? And I think starting out as a young stylist in the industry, you have so many opportunities that can open up if you network. Put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Make connections. Reach out to manufacturers. You know, there's so many opportunities that big companies and big corporations can provide in roles with education, which then opens up all of these opportunities to be able to travel. You know, see the US. In my case, I had the opportunity to actually travel and see the world, right? Because of being a hairdresser and networking, leveraging, creating contacts and, you know, finding really, really good mentors.
Yeah. If somebody's in beauty school right now and they're thinking like, how do I get connected to a brand? Yeah. How would you recommend somebody kind of start with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, once they are finding a salon that they love and that they're going to create for their home base, explore what product lines they have. Each of those product lines will have sales representatives. The sales representatives can help bridge that gap for them and introduce them to the right people within their brands from an education standpoint. You know, I think, you know, what makes this industry so unique is that education is so important. Every brand, every manufacturer has education. You know, I can confidently say L'Oreal has the best education out there. You know, we're the largest beauty brand and it's for a reason. You know, there's so many opportunities. So make those connections. Once you're in the salon, find your sales rep, find the product lines that you love, reach out, network and explore. see what opportunities there are.
Yeah, I don't think that that's always something that's like discussed in the beginning. I think when students are or stylists, graduates are finding their salon home, it's, what's the associate program look like and all of that. I really love this idea of really jumping in more on the product side of it too. And really asking those questions in interviews and when you're choosing a salon, making sure that you're going to get that education, but then even diving deeper to say, what is this brand going to give me? And what is this brand in the salon going to be able to offer me? I think that that's really important. I don't know that we've talked about that yet on the show. So I think that it's awesome to be able to talk to you about it. And so I think that that's a great tip to really like ask those questions too. I don't necessarily think that it's like the number one thing. I mean, you've got to find a fit and that you like who you're going to be working with and all of that stuff. But I think it's a very important piece of it. Because like you said, I mean, going to extra classes or how much of that is digital now and how much of it is in person is going to be different for everyone. But I think it's so important to be able to know that you're getting the extra education that you need to stay current, because there's just, I mean, I know we talk about education all the time, but it's just the most important part of being a successful stylist.
Yeah.
So
I think what I wish I would have known back then as well, right, is aside from product opportunities, so many brands, for example, in Kérastase, we have an amazing ambassador program, and you're able to kind of use that as a stepping stone. And when I think back to, years ago when I go in salons, I would have loved to have that knowledge to be able to ask, from a career pathing standpoint. Yeah. If I'm joining your salon team, what education do you provide? What development do you provide? Do you work with any manufacturers that have ambassador programs, allow you to be artists for them? And what could that look like, right? Because I think when you're choosing a salon, yes, all of those pieces are important, but what does that career path look like, right? You want to, make sure that you're building your career to have longevity and to be able to have those growth opportunities. And so many times manufacturers provide those, but they're not as widely talked about in that first interview process.
Yeah. How soon would somebody be able to jump into a program like that? Is there like a requirement as far as like you need to be in the salon for a year? You need to be, how long, at what point would you do an ambassador program like that?
Yeah, I would say, with the ambassador program, it's around a year would be a good benchmark. Okay. If you are a stylist that is just completely in love with the brand, seeks education, goes beyond just the roles, loves being able to present, share back information with your salon team, you could also look at having that even be an opportunity sooner than a year mark. Yeah. And really that would be working with your sales representative, your business development manager, depending on the brands, and asking those questions. What kind of programs do you have and how can I get involved?
I think that's so great, because I think that the burnout that can sometimes happen is you've gone through beauty school and it's, in Tennessee, it's 1,500 hours. So it's a long time to be going through school. And then you go into the salon and you kind of feel like you're swooping hair for a little bit and you're, doing the things that are so important, but getting extra education. I think having that and being like, okay, but if I can get through another year, I'll be able to do this. Like that is so validating, I think, to somebody to be able to be like, I'm going to go learn and I'm going to take this a little bit into my own hands. And I think that control is something that stylists want a little bit more. I think that that's a lot of the reason we probably see people leaving salons to open suites. So I love that idea for being like, get to this point and you're going to get to do something for yourself that you're going to get to share with your team and create a bigger role for yourself. I am so excited to talk more about this, because I think that that's something that's really important and is really going to be valuable, I think, especially as we're seeing the changes that we're seeing in the industry. So
no, absolutely. And I think, even, coming in and being able to be an ambassador and represent a brand, it will always open up more opportunities. Yeah. Obviously you have your salon team, you have your salon family, which is amazing, but you are now part of a network of almost 900 people for Kérastase, across the U.S. Wow. That's a really unique community, right? You have additional opportunities for education, additional opportunities for upskilling, for development, presentation skills. And, all of that is made possible really just by taking control and just asking, what else is there? What other opportunities can I seek? Yeah. What else is available to me?
That's awesome. Well, that's so great. And this information is so valuable. So I'm so thankful that you took time out of your busy day to be with us. And it was so awesome to meet you. So thank you so much for being here. And where can we follow you and where can we follow kind of the things that you're doing with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram, I'm always posting all of the content, the stories, the classes, the programs. So it is at T Dockswell. on Instagram, and it's a great way just to stay connected, see other opportunities that are there and what's available.
Awesome. And then Kérastase, obviously, we can follow. And then is it kérastase.com?
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Okay.
So we have our Kérastase Pro channel. So on Instagram, we actually have two, which is really unique.
Okay.
We have a official page, which is actually worldwide, all of the products that we have, all of the launches, everything from the global standpoint. And then we also have a pro channel. So it is a compilation of all of our top artists across the world, showcasing techniques and looks, product knowledge. So definitely those would be two that I would check out, Kérastase Official and Kérastase Pro.
Awesome. Well, make sure you all go follow. And thank you again so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you.
There is a whole new way to rise in the beauty industry. LEAD, Rolf's Global Institute, powered by L'Oreal Professional Products Division, is the world's first college degree program for beauty professionals. LEAD is higher education designed to expand your opportunities and open doors to greater success. Create a future with more financial freedom, more autonomy, more possibilities, and more impact. LEAD also provides scholarship opportunities to eligible students worldwide. It's more than a degree, it's a movement. This is where the future of beauty is headed. Be part of it. For more information, please visit leadinstitute.degree.